Hi there, I'm Zoot Java. Today I'd like to talk about the aftermath of the coronavirus. What's that, Zoot? Have you gone mad? You can't talk about the aftermath of something until after it's all over. And the coronavirus is far from being over. Well, I know that. The point is, I want to weigh in on the reaction that is going to happen once the cure for the virus and the prevention of the virus are known and in mass production to protect everybody. I firmly believe that sometime within 5 to 20 years from now that another probably deadlier virus will come out of nowhere to devastate the planet. So what am I basing this craziness on? Well, take a look at how most people are taking this seriously and yet not so seriously. People are being requested to self-quarantine up to the cities handing out fines for people who are violating this quarantine. The so-called experts worldwide are not going to take care of the spread of a future deadly virus. They won't care to do the right thing. How did this happen to spread all over the world so easily and so quickly? The virus hopped on a plane and went from one country to another. The virus was hand-delivered all over the world in a matter of hours simply by infected people climbing on a plane and going to another country, from there to another country, and so on, and so on, and so on. In a matter of a couple of months, millions upon millions of people had their lives turned upside down by their governments ordering them to not go to work or to not go to their personal businesses, so as not to spread the virus even further. This will end, and the lives of these people will be destroyed, and who knows if they'll be able to pick up right after this ends. So many businesses will be finished with the owners of the businesses and anybody who worked for them to be out of work. How did we get this way? Well, just look at how our society has tobogganed into this mess. As a result of everybody, yes, everybody, even our homeless are better off than ever before. But as a result of everybody having it so good, we've wound up never having to actually have to worry about anything serious for so long that you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who went through hard times at this point. The government picks up the tab for so many things that it's not believable that there are people who are going through actual troubles these days. This is why we've had a tsunami of stupidity coming out of the universities lately for causes that sound as if they were the plot of a fantasy novel. The students heard about those who got together to fight for causes benefiting people years ago, and each generation of students feel the need to attach themselves to fighting for a cause also. The problem is that there's really nothing left to fight for, so things must be created. In order to make it believable, they must attach unhinged anger towards these causes that they pull out of their bungholes. So why did I talk about that when I started off on the coronavirus? Well, everything goes along with this regarding our societies and our lives in general. People no longer regard most problems as something to be concerned about. Even serious medical conditions, such as a worldwide pandemic, aren't regarded as the possible problems that they pose. The unfortunate reason for this is exactly why we have such a desirable society to live in. Don't believe me? How many of you are worse off than your grandparents were? Not very many, if there are any. As a result of this, we wind up with our government constantly reassuring us that there is nothing to worry about. Everything will be fine. The government has your back, so just go on your merry way and don't worry about anything. Unfortunately, they not only don't have your back, but are constantly stabbing you in the back as often as possible. This is why half the people aren't taking the virus warnings seriously. How can you blame them? They're constantly lied to about having nothing to worry about, so they don't. Free health care in these countries, so nobody cares about getting sick. No incentive to actually live a healthy life when they know that if they get sick, the free health care will be there to fix them up. But what about these people I'm ignoring? Those health nuts you see all over the place. Jogging, pelotoning, eating sandwiches made up of leaves, nuts, and roots. They'll live an extra 20 years. Well, I hate to roast your raisins, but have you seen how wonderful it is to while away your final years, gobbling down handfuls of pills from the comfort of your wheelchair while you while away the hours, waiting for your butterscotch pudding? Then your relatives come to punch the clock for the hour to see you, with the little kids asking every 5 minutes if you're going to leave yet. It's times like these when you'll be sitting back thanking yourself that you spent all that time exercising to add those extra years. However, back to the virus. The whole point I'm making is this transglobal flying has to stop, or at least slow down, and only wind up catering to about 10% of the amount of people that we have utilizing the skies. Thus, having high-speed spreading of every sort of infectious disease wind up being made a priority, particularly when it's something that hasn't seen like this ever before with the coronavirus. To take care of this properly, anyone wanting to visit another country should be made to get a visa first, and also a medical checkup within a week of leaving for the trip. Travel on the cruise ships should actually be promoted, because the time spent on there would give possible illnesses extra time to develop, like on a floating petri dish, and the ships could then be isolated in the harbors and not allow people to disembark into the general population, with the very real possibility of infecting who knows how many people, such as we have now. Does this cause some people discomfort in not having almost instant transportation from one continent to another? Well, of course it does. But who cares if you can keep the world potentially safe from another developing deadly illness, and who knows how many lives saved economically? Just look at the people who are already in trouble and are facing disaster even when this comes to an end. I'm fairly certain they wouldn't care that you'd have to take a little longer to take your trip to Europe from North America. People's perspectives seem to change whenever they wind up on the short end of the stick, and their lives aren't what they worked so hard for. Well, now for the part you've all been waiting for, my bad joke. During the lockdown here, the criminals got an idea from Skip the Dishes. To make up for the lack of crime in the streets, they make house calls. Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe, because it really helps me out. Hit the bell to get notifications of more of my words of wisdom. Share my content on all your social media, as I get censored by all the usual suspects. Until later, have a Java. Unzoot.